Every day, I'm reminded about climate change. And I cry. And I grieve. Because I think about it every time I look at my daughter. And I wonder what the world will be like when she's the same age as me. I'm not sure I can do enough to protect her from this. We are facing massive species extinction. Our oceans are acidifying. We've got around 10 years to radically change course, or climate change will become so irreversible that we could see our civilization end within our lifetimes.
Could this be a vision of our future? This is what it's like living in the worst air pollution in the world. Cities growing unchecked, filthy air, the silent effect of climate change. Is this toxic cocktail pushing our civilization to its limits?
It's morning in Ulaanbaatar and people are going to work, getting ready to go to school, and I can smell the pollution. It's so thick, you can even taste it. I've got a pollution monitor here and it's measuring PM 2.5, which is these tiny particles that get deep into your lungs. That's why they're so dangerous. And a minute ago it was at 999. That's as high as this monitor will go. Safe levels are supposedly anything under 25. So how on earth did it get this bad?
Every day here, doctors see hundreds of children who are struggling to breathe. Dr. Ganchul Nzundi has no doubt that it's linked to the pollution.
хамгийн нийт нь 260-70 байдаг гэсэн бол энэ жил одоо 300 хүртэл нэмэгдэж байна. Тэгэхээр энэ мэн одоо амьсгалын замын халдварын улмаас эртэж хэмжүүлж байгаа болон өөрчлөж байгаа хүүхдийн та жилээр тусам нэмэгдэж байна гэсэн дүр зураг харагдаж байна л та.
It must be difficult when you help a child to get better and then you know that they're going back into the pollution to get sick again.
Замалгүй яг би ч гэсэн өөрөө одоо их хүн одоо надад ч гэсэн өөр хүүхэд байгаа. Өөр хүүхэдтэй мэн ч гэсэн адилхан өвдөн. Тэгэхээр ингээд бидний зүгээс ингээд одоо ингээд хичнээн ингээд имжлээд ингээд гаргаж байгаа ч гэсэн хүүхдүүд маань ингээд дахин ингэж өвдөж байгаа нь гэж миний сэтгэлийг маш хэмдэглэж.
Her biggest fear is that in the long term, toxic air could lead to an epidemic of lung cancer.
Alabama is not regulated by the EPA. Environmental law is not enforced federally. It is state regulated and enforced. Here's the thing, when states enforce environmental law and do regulations, they don't. They don't. And you're going to see what happens when the state of Alabama takes it on their own terms to regulate the environment. Like I said, they don't. It's kind of like, hold on. Y'all better be doing good on the environment over there. I ain't looking. Give me some money. Here's something you'll need to see. You should be scared, and you will be angry.
The Tennessee Valley Authority has begun shipping toxic coal ash from the massive spill that occurred last December at its Kingston power plant in East Tennessee to landfills in the neighboring states of Georgia and Alabama as part of a test to determine a final resting place for the waste. The counties where the ash is going have large black populations and high poverty rates, raising questions about environmental justice. The disposal decision came just days before the Federal Environmental Protection Agency announced it was stepping in to oversee cleanup of the disaster, which released some 5.4 million cubic yards of coal ash into a nearby community and a branch of the Emory River. Pollutants in the ash include arsenic, lead, and cancer-causing combustion byproducts, as well as radioactive elements that occur naturally in coal and concentrate.
We're going to start with environmental news in a battle between a small, mostly poor, majority black community in Alabama and the operators of a toxic landfill. For more than a decade, the residents of Uniontown, Alabama, which has a population of about 2,400 people, have lived with the Arrowhead landfill, which is twice the size of New York's Central Park. Arrowhead opened in 2007, began accepting waste from 33 different states despite outcry from the community. Then in 2009, the landfill began accepting shipments of toxic coal ash, the residual byproduct of burning coal from a massive spill in Kingston, Tennessee, believed to be the largest coal ash disaster in U.S. history. For 2 years, nearly 4 million tons of coal ash was shipped by rail from a mostly white Tennessee county to Uniontown. Coal ash contains toxins including arsenic, mercury, boron that can affect the nervous and reproductive systems and cause other health problems. According to the EPA, people living within a mile of unlined coal ash storage ponds have a 1 in 50 risk of developing cancer. In 2013, several dozen Uniontown residents filed a complaint under the Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. Well, this week, the EPA dismissed the claim, saying there's insufficient evidence that authorities in Alabama had breached the Civil Rights Act. This comes as new government data reveals coal ash has contaminated water with arsenic and radium and other toxic chemicals near coal-fired plants around the country. The data was released just 1 day after EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt said the agency would further weaken federal regulations on coal ash disposal. Meanwhile, President Trump has nominated Dow chemical lawyer Peter Wright to head up an Environmental Protection Agency unit tasked with overseeing the disposal of hazardous waste and chemical spills at toxic Superfund sites. Well, we have a lot to talk about with several people. We're going to Montgomery, Alabama to speak with Ben Eaton, Vice President of Black Belt Citizens Fighting for Health and Justice and a resident of Uniontown, Alabama. In Washington, D.C., we're joined by Mustafa Santiago Ali, former head of the Environmental Justice Program at the Environmental Protection Agency, who resigned from the EPA a year ago to protest the Trump administration's proposal to scale back severely the size and work of the agency. We welcome you both to Democracy Now! Ben Eaton, let's begin with you. Talk about what's happening in your community in Alabama, in Uniontown.
Well, the things that are happening in my community in Uniontown is ridiculous when it comes to coal ash, or when it comes to our rights to live in a well-protected or a protected equally place like everyone else. We have a number of problems from landfill, coal ash, sanitation, bad odors. It never stops. But this is some of the things. These are some of the things that are happening in Uniontown.
Well, explain exactly what this plant is, how the community has been affected, how long you've been fighting this, and what this rollback, even further, of environmental regulation will mean.
Well, this rollback, it is deep. We, as a group, will not stop fighting the issues because we know we are right when it comes to our civil rights. The problems that are happening in Uniontown are ridiculous, and to get no help and support from the agencies that actually are supposed to protect the community, they're not giving us that. If anything, they are only
Can't breathe! We can't breathe!
The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency has released information showing there are 584 coal ash dump sites in 35 states across the country, almost twice as many as previously identified. The release came late last week in response to a Freedom of Information Act request. Some critical data is missing because companies are claiming it's confidential business information. Duke Energy, Progress Energy, and the Southern companies Alabama Power and Georgia Power are among the corporations withholding information on 74 coal ash dump sites.
The pictures that you are about to see now are pictures that I have gathered from Google Earth. Most of them are from the Tri-County area, like counties like Otaga, Elmore, Montgomery. There are some from Selma, and also there are some from Mobile, Uniontown, and Birmingham. Now, these bodies of water and images that you're about to see are industrial waste ponds, like stabilization ponds, industrial waste ponds, coal ash, mining cooling ponds. It's like something they do. They put this bright blue dye in them, and it helps, evaporate that water and that, mine runoff. But the funny thing is like these pools that you see, they never evaporate, like not really at all. And one thing I want y'all to keep in mind when y'all see these images is notice that they're all next to rivers.
Direction we should go. Sit around and wait for someone to take our hands and lead the way. 'Cause every day we're getting older, and every day we all get colder. We're sick of waiting for our answers. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Yeah, I'm so tired of waiting for us to wake up, wake up, wake up. Yeah, I'm so sick of waiting for us to make a move. Are we meant to take the bait? Should we sit around and wait? Are we being saved, or was that another lie you made to make us hate? 'Cause every